Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the weekly weather briefing. I'm Sid King, and I'll be giving you an overview on what we can expect over the next few days. An overview before we get really started, there's a weak frontal passage that'll be passing through tonight, along with low pressure building in early Thursday, and that's going to lead to some increased humidity and also some increased rain chances over the next few days. Temperatures are going to remain at or slightly above climatological normal throughout the period. And then a few odds and ends to touch on. The frost and freeze program has ended for the fall season. And then we'll give a fire weather update, a tropical update, and updates on drought conditions. Conditions this morning and yesterday have been just a little above the climatological normal for this time of year. It's not on this image pictured here, but we also didn't have any measurable rainfall yesterday. The high temperatures yesterday were mainly in the 50s in the northern part of the state, and then the 60s in the southern part of the state, and then the low temperatures have been in the 30s mostly, most areas below freezing. And then current conditions, we have a surface high pressure that is causing low-level moisture and clouds to increase over the area as flow goes around that high pressure. And you can see that on the image from the satellite image on the right-hand side of your screen. We have a plume of moisture that's been entering South Georgia and will continue to push more northward. And this flow will allow for small chances of light rain during the day today. And for the rest of the day, we can expect high temperatures in the 50s and 60s, with some precipitation chances generally between about 15 and 20%. And then we have low temperatures about 40s to 50s in the southeast of the area. Slight rain chances generally between 15 and 20% chance once again tonight. And then high temperatures tomorrow will be in the 50s in the northern part of the area, and then down into almost into the 70s in the southeastern part of the region. And then also a Thanksgiving outlook. The models are indicating the development of a low pressure system down here just off the coast of Florida by Thursday over the Gulf of Mexico. And that'll continue to draw moisture over the area. And then that will lead to a little bit of higher precipitation chances, denoted here by this little green section for rain. The high temperatures will generally be in the 50s and then in the low 60s in the southern part of our area. Low temperatures in the 30s and then into the 40s in the southern part. Nothing really expected below freezing for the lows on Thursday. And then those rain chances I mentioned a minute ago. Mostly south of Atlanta is where you'll start to see those 10% start to pop up. And then the moderate chances will mostly be confined to the far southeast, generally 50 to 60% down here at the far southeast corner here. It is worth saying that if that surface low that I mentioned gets displaced to the north, there could be an increase in forecasted rainfall along the I-20 corridor. So those chances could jump up if it looks like that low pressure will shift to the north. But that's something we'll continue to update you guys on as we get closer to it. Speaking and of course, with rain chances, we have to discuss the possibility of severe weather, so very little instability is predicted over the next few days, and there is little to no thunder expected with that rain as well because of that low instability. With the categorical outlooks, the highest amount of severe weather potential we have is actually today, and that's only going to be general thunder in the far southern Georgia around Bainbridge and Valdosta, and then also around Brunswick and Savannah. But over the next few days, we don't have any categorical outlooks in any of these categories in our area over the next few days. So it's mostly just going to be rain, a non-severe type of threat with very little thunder. Then for Friday and Saturday, those lows will be down in the 30s and 40s once again. Afternoon highs will generally be in the 60s throughout most of our area. Lows once again on Saturday, generally in the 30s and then in the low 40s once again, but just a little higher than they were Friday morning. And then rain chances will be minimal on Friday, but those will pick up again just a little bit on Saturday with some 10% down around Americus and Dublin and the far southern parts of our region. For rainfall totals, rainfall is generally expected to be less than about half an inch over the next 48 hours. Most of the heavier rain will stay in the southern part of the state, generally between half an inch or an inch. And then in our region, it'll generally be less than about half an inch. And then that precipitation is expected to be the heaviest around Valdosta, Brunswick, Waycross, in that area for people anticipating traveling in that area. As far as Thanksgiving is concerned, our precipitation totals line up pretty well with those highest chances we talked about earlier. Rainfall generally less than a quarter of an inch in our area on Thursday, but we could have some heavier amounts down in Brunswick and Waycross, and if that low shifts a bit to the north, you could see some of those totals enter our area. And so that's something worth keeping an eye on. It's nothing that's going to cause a huge concern, but you could have between an inch or an inch and a half if that moves way up to the north. And then once again, the precipitation is expected to be the heaviest in southeastern Georgia. And then the 7-day rainfall, there is a pronounced gradient of rainfall across southern Georgia. And since this is 7-day, this is subject to have some change as the forecast becomes a little more clear. But for the most part, we expect less than an inch over our region for the next week. And of course, as has been the trend the last couple of slides, that precipitation is going to stay the heaviest in the southeastern Georgia. The Frost and Freeze program has ended for north and central Georgia. This program was in effect until the area observed a hard freeze, which was 28 degrees on November 20th, or whichever occurs first. So the frost or freeze advisories and warnings will no longer be issued for the fall season. The Spring Frost and Freeze program will begin on March 15th for all of our area except the 8 northeastern Georgia counties, which is Fannin, Union, Towns, White, Lumpkin, Dawsons, Picken, and Gilmer. For these counties, the Spring Frost and Freeze program will begin on April 15th instead of March 15th. Here's a look at some of the fire weather conditions, the minimum relative humidity and the maximum wind gusts for Wednesday, which is where both of these are going to be closest to the driest and the heaviest winds. And even in those situations, we don't expect any high hazardous fire weather conditions through Thursday. The high pressure will continue through the forecast period for the next couple of days, and those seasonable temperatures and drier conditions will still be the rule, but we still have some of that moisture coming in, and those minimum humidity values will remain generally above 50%. And those will keep the fire weather conditions above critical thresholds. With the tropical waters cooling down and no tropical activity anticipated in the next 48 hours, we are approaching the official end date of the Atlantic hurricane season, which is on November 30th. Of course, it's extremely rare for this to happen, but it's always a very slight possibility that we have a tropical cyclone form out in the Atlantic after the season is over. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it's very unlikely. And of course, we don't expect any activity in the next 48 hours if as cold as the waters are getting out there. So that's excellent news for our area. The drought information statement won't be updated until Thursday, and so we don't have it since we're doing a Tuesday briefing today. So let's take a quick look at where we're at. We still have abnormally dry conditions that have developed across central and south Georgia. We have a couple of areas of moderate drought that have developed in eastern and then far southwestern Georgia. With the change map that came out last week, we could see some class 1 degradation across most of South Georgia. So that's something we're going to keep an eye on. We are in sort of a bit of a dry spell right now. And The 6 to 10 day outlook has that continuing. The precipitation outlook has about a 50 to 60% chance that the next 6 to 10 days will be below average for this time of the year, so that's certainly not looking good on helping those drought conditions. And then as far as the temperature outlooks, we look like we have between a 33 and a 50% chance over the next 6 to 10 days of being cooler than normal. So that finishes up a lot of the conditions and issues over the next week. So here's a summary and some of the expected impacts. A weak frontal passage will be passing through tonight, and low pressure will be building in early Thursday, and that's going to lead to increased humidity and rain chances. I failed to mention it earlier, but I will now, that after the frontal passage, there could be some areas of dense fog tonight, because with that moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, as those temperatures drop a little bit, and as after that frontal passage comes through, those temperatures could meet those dew points, and then you could have some saturation and fog in a couple of areas. The highest rain chances throughout the next few days will remain in the southeastern parts of our area. We could have some move a bit to the north if that low pressure moves to the north on Thanksgiving. No severe weather is anticipated, and the thunder potential is limited. Temperatures will remain at or slightly above climatological normals throughout the next week. The frost and freeze program has ended for the season as of November 20th. No dangerous fire weather conditions are expected through the next 3 days. Although we have high pressure in the area, we also will have low pressure building in, and some of that moisture coming in from the Gulf will keep it above critical levels. No tropical activity is anticipated within the next 48 hours, and we will also be concluding the tropical season on November 30th, so hopefully this is it for the season. I can't tell you right now this far out that it will be, but hopefully it is. And of course, the next drought update will be issued on Thursday, and for now, southern and eastern Georgia has a couple of areas that are in moderate drought, and then southern Georgia itself, for the most part, is abnormally dry. So thank you all for your attention. Here's our contact information if you ever need to get in touch with us. All of us at the Weather Service would like to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and have a great day.